We willingly pay to strap ourselves into metal carts, get lifted hundreds of feet into the air, and hurtle toward the ground at highway speeds. We do it for the thrill. We do it because we trust the math, physics, and engineering. We convince ourselves that it's a controlled illusion of danger. But sometimes that control fails. When a roller coaster malfunctions, it doesn't just break down. It becomes a high-speed weapon. Today, we are examining two very different eras of amusement park terror. First, we will look at the deadliest roller coaster disaster in history, caused by a catastrophic mechanical failure. Second, we will explore a modern horror story where advanced technology led to disaster. Before we dive into these incredible stories, make sure you hit that subscribe button for Michael's Rift. On this channel, we uncover the most intense, tragic, and controversial cataclysms from around the world. Subscribe now so you never miss a single deep dive, and hit the notification bell so you're always in the first to know. Our first stop takes us back to London, England, in the summer of 1972. The Battersea Fun Fair was a huge attraction located right on the banks of the River Thames, with the Big Dipper as its main feature. This massive 3-story wooden roller coaster was built mostly from timber and steel-capped wooden rails, creaking under the weight of thousands of daily riders. By 1972, the Big Dipper was aging, and its wooden frame was showing significant structural wear and rotting from the wet, unpredictable English climate that constantly compromised the structural integrity of the wood. However, it was a highly lucrative ride and the park's primary source of income, so the park managers kept it operating day after day without performing proper safety overhauls or pausing operations for deep maintenance. On the afternoon of May 30th, families and children filled the coaster to enjoy the warm holiday weather, completely unaware of the structural strain building silently beneath the tracks. A train carrying 31 people slowly climbed to the top of the first, tallest hill, giving passengers a brief view of the London skyline. But just as the train reached the peak, disaster struck. The main haulage rope, a heavy steel cable which pulled the cars up the steep hill, suddenly snapped under the immense tension. Immediately, gravity took control of the dead weight. The heavy train stopped its forward momentum and began speeding backward down the steep lift hill. Modern roller coasters have a mechanical anti-rollback device, the metal teeth that make the distinct clacking sound as you climb, designed to lock into place if a cable breaks. The Big Dipper's anti-rollback safety brake completely failed to engage due to years of neglected maintenance. The train gained frightening backward speed, turning into a runaway, multi-ton missile. As the train raced backward into the boarding station, it hit a sharp turn that it was never designed to handle in reverse. The immense centrifugal force ripped the wooden tracks apart and shattering the timber support beams. The cars derailed, crashing violently into the heavy structures below and piling on top of one another in a mangled heap of metal and wood. 5 children died instantly, crushed by the weight of the colliding cars, and 13 others were seriously injured and permanently mutilated. The disaster shocked the nation and led to immediate demands for stricter amusement park safety regulations, as well as the permanent closure of the entire amusement park. An investigation uncovered a horrifying truth. The park managers knew the wooden structure was rotting and the cables were fraying, but they chose to keep the ride open to avoid losing revenue over the busy holiday weekend. Following the crash, details emerged showing that the park had repeatedly ignored specific written warnings from their own maintenance workers. Employees had noted that the wood was splintering under the weight of the trains and that the steel cable was visibly fraying. Rather than shutting down the ride for a complete structural overhaul, managers performed a quick, superficial patch just to keep the line moving. The investigation also revealed that the park had failed to perform mandatory daily safety checks on the anti-rollback system for weeks leading up to the disaster. This gross negligence transformed an aging amusement park attraction into an absolute death trap, proving that the tragedy was entirely preventable. You might think that a tragedy like the Battersea could never occur today. After all, modern coasters are made of strong structural steel, managed by complex automated computer systems, and monitored by many digital sensors tracking every single block of the track. But in 2015, at Alton Towers theme park in Staffordshire, England, this very technology became deadly. This is TheSmiler, a multi-million-dollar steel coaster that broke world records for having 14 complete inversions. On June 2, 2015, the ride was plagued by technical issues all morning, triggering multiple sensor warnings. The wind that day was also very strong, causing the coaster's computer systems to trigger warning faults repeatedly because the trains were moving slower than the designated timing. To test the ride after a series of faults, operators sent an empty test car around the track to clear the system. But due to the severe headwind, the empty car didn't have enough speed to get over one of the loops. It stalled at the apex, rolled backward, and got stuck in a low part of the track valley, completely hidden from the operator's view. It was vulnerable and a sitting duck. Meanwhile, the ride operators, unaware that the empty car had stalled on the circuit, loaded a regular train with 16 passengers and sent it up the hill. Halfway up, the computer system did exactly what it was programmed to do. It detected the stalled car ahead and automatically slammed on the emergency brakes, stopping the passenger train safely on the lift hill. This rare event should have ended the story here. The technology worked perfectly. However, human error and corporate pressure interfered with the safety systems. The ride engineers arrived at the control panel and assumed the computer only experienced another false alarm due to the wind. They believed the track was completely clear because they failed to physically verify where the empty test train was. Under pressure to keep the park's star attraction running and reduce wait times, the engineers manually overrode the computer's safety feature. They turned off the emergency brake using a physical key. The specific physical key was never meant to be used lightly. It was a master override mechanism restricted only to highly trained technicians for extreme maintenance scenarios. By inserting and turning this key, the engineers intentionally told the automated system to ignore its own digital eyes and completely drop its guard. The software had locked down the ride to prevent an imminent impact, but the manual override essentially muted the computer's alarms, giving the engineers absolute control over a machine they blindly trusted to be empty. It was a fatal abuse of administrative power that stripped away the coaster's final line of defense. The passenger train was released and sped down the drop at 52 miles per hour, unaware of the hazard sitting directly around the bend. The passengers screamed in panic as they turned the corner and saw the stationary, empty metal test car ahead on the track. The crash was devastating. The front row of passengers faced the full force of the steel-on-steel collision, their legs instantly pinned in the wreckage. It took emergency crews over 4 hours to rescue the victims hanging 25 feet in the air at a painful angle while engineers scrambled to stabilize the structure. While no one in this incident died, the injuries were life-changing. 2 young women in the front row both had to have a leg amputated, and several others suffered shattered knees, broken bones, and severe psychological trauma that will stay with them forever. The park's parent company was fined millions, and the investigation revealed a harmful culture that prioritized ride uptime and speed of service, leading the engineers to ignore clear computer warnings in favor of keeping the queues moving and the corporate profits rolling in. Separated by over 40 years, these two events teach us the same lesson. Whether a roller coaster is made of rotting wood or controlled by digital technology, the weakest link in any amusement park is always human negligence. When companies value quick service and ticket sales over safety, the illusion of danger becomes frighteningly real, and innocent people pay the ultimate price for corporate shortcutting. That wraps it up for today's list of terrifying events. Which of these roller coaster disasters do you find the most terrifying? The mechanical breakdown of the old wooden Big Dipper, or the modern computer override of TheSmiler? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Keep your eyes peeled for our next video, where we dive into another unbelievable event you won't want to miss. Thank you for watching Michael's Rift, and I will see you in the next breakdown.